Good evening. I know that took a bit longer to get up here than I expected because my computer decided to do updates as soon as I wanted to do something with it. Okay, so hello, long time no see. Very sorry about that. I've kind of been hibernating from the Australian summer and working. Working is taking up a lot of my time right now. So I thought I was well and truly overdue for giving you guys an update of where I am, what I'm doing, what I'm working on, and more importantly, what I'm going to be putting out there for you guys to read anytime soon, or currently am putting out there for you guys to read. So, I know I've been quiet for the last couple of months, but I haven't vanished, I promise. And I haven't given up my plan for world domination. I mean, writing. I'm still writing. Sometimes. Not as often as I would like to be writing, but I am still doing it. So here's the catch-up. Editing. I've been focused on getting Phased edited and posted on Radish. You can check Phased out. The link is in the box. If you haven't been keeping up with it, now's a really good time to start reading it, because the last chapter of book 1 of the can't pronounce W's today, of the Ravens Wing trilogy will be going up on Thursday. So now's a really good time to start reading, because the book will be complete as of Thursday night. There is a sequel, so you will kind of be left hanging, not too much. It sort of wraps up this part of the book and steps into the new or the next carry on from the book. But yes, I'm sure I'm still going to get emails about when the sequel will be coming out, and I haven't got an answer for you on that one yet. But yes, so Phased is on Radish currently. It will be finished on Radish as of Thursday night. So now's a really good time to get reading it and meet characters of a new world. It's witches versus werewolves. So I've spoken about this book and this series quite a few times in the past. So if that's your thing, go check it out on Radish. Again, links in the box. So now that I've finished with editing Phased, I go to turn my focus over to Of Shadow and Light. That was formerly known as Buried and Forgotten, for anyone who used to follow me on Wattpad and remembers the book there. I'm hoping to start posting that around about Easter time, so early April is my goal to have that one starting to turn up on Radish for you to read. If you're not familiar with that book, then here's a bit of a quick summary. I did put a bit of a teaser on my social media last week. It's about Fae, more specifically the Dark Fae, but it does have some light Fae in it. But yes, it's very much about the Fae, and that's all I'm actually going to tell you, because I think the book speaks for itself. But if you don't know anything about it, as I said, the teaser is out there on my social media, so you can have a bit of a check out of that. So that's where I'm at with my editing right at the point in time. I have started doing final edits on Cassidy, ready for it to be formally published in the paperback. So I haven't got a timeline for that one, but I am hoping to have that published around about May sort of area for anyone who's looking to buy the actual book of that, or be able to pick it up on Amazon or something like that. Okay, next thing in my update. And please do ask questions if you want while I'm going, and I will come back and answer them. I have some questions already that I'm going to be answering when I get to the end of my update, for people who have already been asking me questions on social media and what have you. Publishing. Okay, Something strange sort of happened when I finished Holmes. I thought that would be the end of the hotel series. The Muse showed me, however, how a book that I published quite a while ago, Best Man, fitted into the hotel series. A, because hello, they all work at hotels. I realised that Best Man was actually the start of a new story in the hotel series, even though it had been written first. So I've started posting Best Man up on Radish now, and I'm going to be adding an epilogue which will connect it into the previous 3 books in the series. Then, and I know people have asked for this for years, and I've always said, no, there won't be an epilogue. No, there's not going to be a sequel. But the Muse and I have agreed that there is going to be a sequel to Best Man. So, the title to the sequel is still up in the air, but I am leaning towards either Best Layover or Best Night. Excuse me for a sec. I've actually been sick for the last week, so still getting over that a little bit. So Best Layover or Best Night. I'm sure you can work out why those titles are quite appealing. I haven't started working on the sequel yet, so don't get too excited about timeframes. We know what the Muse can be like when it comes to sequels. So it will happen when it happens, but it is actually going to happen now. I originally wrote Best Man I published it in 2013, I think. Or 2014, I can't remember now. And I think I started writing it in 2010. So it has been quite a long time coming for the Muse and I to even consider having a sequel to Best Man, but we've decided it has to happen now. Other publishing news, I don't really have any, sadly. I'm still waiting to hear back from Inkit on a publishing date for Numinous and Mast, which are books 2 and 3 of the Hierarch series. Even though Succumb made it to the bestsellers list on Amazon, my previous series, Black Mark, didn't perform so well, I'm guessing, and I suspect that the publisher may have decided to focus on their higher performing authors than little known me. So, which is fair, and I totally understand that. But when they do get around to it, or when I do hear back from them, I will definitely let you know of any publishing dates for that, or keep you up to date on the situation with those books. You know, I'd gone so well all afternoon with barely a cough, and as soon as I have to do a presentation, it happens, doesn't it? Okay, next bit of updating, writing. And I'm sure this is what you all want to hear about, is the fact that I'm actually doing some writing. So my plans to finish Wraith, I'm just going to hide over here in the corner, which is the sequel to Spectra, stalled when my job situation changed at the beginning of the year. Effectively, I stopped writing for nearly 2 months because the stress of my current job is leaving me exhausted each night, and my brain just cannot focus to be able to sit down and write all the stuff that the Muse has going on in my head. However, a few weeks ago, the Muse and I did find some time to sit down together and do some writing. I've been jumping between The World in Her Eyes. That title's probably going to change at some stage. That's a historical suspense romance based on real humans, no paranormal activity in that one. And that's all I'm going to tell you about that one. And the other story I've been working on is Mortless. So some of my die-hard followers who have been following me for a long time would recognise Mortless. They may even know it under its former name, which was Dark Elf King. So I know that quite a that book had quite a lot of fans of the people who did get to read the beginning chapters. So I'm sure they're going to be cheering because of how popular it was with my paranormal fans. Personally, I absolutely love Mortless. It's one of my favourite books so far of all time. So I'm really enjoying being able to make some progress on that one again. Okay, so I am doing some writing, not necessarily what I would like to be working on. I really would like to get back into Wraith. But you know, we have to go with what the muse is willing to work with sometimes. So my plans for the next 2 months. So my action items for the rest of March and April going forward is to edit of Shadow and Light and then to start publishing of Shadow and Light on Radish. So my goal is to have that done in the next couple of weeks and be able to have that up and running around about the first week of April on Radish. Then I want to edit Sin's Child, if I can get Shadow and Light done, and also get it up on Radish sometime soon, possibly around the same time that Best Man will finish, so that, you know, the people who, my idea with that is that the people who like my paranormal should be able to finish a paranormal story and start my next paranormal story. The people who like my romances should be able to finish one of my romance stories and move on to the next romance story that I'm putting out there. That's my hope this year with Radish and getting my work out there. The next goal is to read 2 books on my to-read pile, because sometimes I get so caught up in writing and editing and publishing that I actually forget to read, and I think it's really important for writers to still do a lot of reading. So I have a fair few books on my to-read pile, but the one that keeps making it to the top of the list is Neil Gaiman's Norse Mythology. I'm really looking forward to reading that one. So I think that'll be the first one I pick up when I find some time. And of course, my final goal for the next month and a half is to write whatever the muse wants to write, if it means I'm getting some writing done. I think at this point, you know, we can't be too picky if it means that we're actually getting something out there. At least I'm not going to be picky about it. So that's my goals. To wrap up, I'm going to answer a few questions that I've been asked recently. If you have your questions, please do type them in and I will answer them as soon as I'm done with these questions. So the first question was, where is Rain? Now, those of you who've been following me for a while would have known about Rain, or even read possibly Rain when I had it on Wattpad. Rain was a human romance that initially was meant to start out as a sort of comedy and ended up probably being one of the darkest romances I've ever written. Because that's how I work. So Rain is in the queue for editing, and I actually sat down yesterday and created some timelines for my editing and getting stuff up again. So it's in the queue. I don't have an exact time for when it will reappear. Hold on a second, I'll jump over to my queue and have a look at my estimate. And currently it's scheduled to turn up again in probably the first week of July or thereabouts. So that's what I'm hoping for anyway. It's going to get published on Radish initially, and then after it goes through some more edits, it'll eventually get published. So yeah, July is my sort of aim for when Rain will make its reappearance again. Question 2, when are you publishing that Shifters book you've talked about a lot last year? So people who tuned in last year for all my book promos, etc., would have heard me talking about Silver's Rogue. Silver's Rogue was a shifters book that I wrote that I actually really enjoy, and my beta readers seem to have enjoyed it, I guess. So that one is also on the editing list. I need to go through a lot of my beta readers' comments and make a few adjustments based on that and then re-edit it again. And as you can see right at the time, it's finding time to be able to do the editing and rereading and etc. So that one's queued up for straight after Shadow and Light has finished on Radish. So hopefully we're looking about June right at the point in time, if I can keep on track with the timeline that I set up yesterday before that turns up on Radish. So that's Silver's Rogue, Shifter series. When will Cassidy and Holmes be published in print? They haven't fallen off my radar. I don't have dates for them either, but I am hoping to have Cassidy up in around about May for print. Currently both are available on Radish, so if you can't wait for them to come out of print and you have access to Radish, then the link is in the box and you can go read them now. So remembering that Henderson is book 1, Cassidy is book 2, and Holmes is book 3 of the Hotel series. And Holmes wraps up our story of Holly and her love life. So my hope is to have both books ready and in print for the Northern Hemisphere summer. That's always been my goal, is that by July this year both books will have been published to print. So cross fingers, I'll actually manage that at some stage. Are you ever going to write the sequel to Spectra? One day. I've said previously, I've always struggled with the world of Spectra, as in, for some reason, even though we really love that world, the world building and some of the plot and intrigue, because it is a very intrigue and political machination sort of book, even though it's a paranormal story. It can sometimes be very wearing to come up with those intriguing plot twists that you all seem to love that I write. So I did make a really good start on that last year for my NaNoWriMo, and I was hoping to continue with it, but again, my job changed and it just all sort of fell apart. If you want to help encourage the muse, there is actually a fan page on Facebook for all things Spectra and Angelus related. So you can check out the Angelus series group page, which I can't actually remember the name of right at the point in time, but the link is there in the box as well. So click on it, go in there and start talking about Spectra and what you would hope to see in book 2, and hell, maybe the muse will write it. There are also some of my beta readers who are already in the group, and they've had a few previews of the existing first couple of chapters to read. So you never know, if you go in there and start talking to them, they may give you some juicy tidbits during the conversation. Anyway, and the last question that I have is, what happened to your Wattpad? This one's sort of a bit of a sad answer, actually. I've pulled right back from Wattpad for the same reason that a lot of other professional writers and authors have. I'm sure that if you have been on Wattpad over the last 12 to 6 months, you're well aware of some of the incidents, and you'll understand why I've decided not to take that risk with my work. I do miss the interaction with my readers, so if you still want to keep in contact, please feel free to reach out on social media. You can jump on the Angelus group page. I quite often go in there and check out what's being said. And there's also the Hierarch series group page, which is the Domi Room. The link is also there in the box. So you can jump in there and have conversations about the Hierarch series or anything else to do with my writing. Or just jump on my author page or on my Twitter or on my Instagram. I'm around. I do respond when people contact me. So feel free to jump in any of those. Again, some of my beta readers are in the Hierarch series group, and I think they've read all the way up to book 4. So if you haven't been able to read some of the sequels yet, then again, they might drop clues for you of what's coming up in the next couple of books. I think even 1 or 2 of them might have got to see some of the sneak peeks out of book 5 that I've been working on. So they're good places to hang out and get clues to what's happening with the future books. Does anyone else have any other questions that you'd like to ask? No? Okay. Well, that's all I have for you. Thank you for tuning in. I think my brain's gone to sleep now. It's just been one of those days. It was a Monday. And a pretty heavy Monday to say the least. So thank you for dropping in. Thank you for watching if you're watching it after I finished filming. If you do have any questions at all, again, reach out on social media, jump in one of the Facebook groups and ask away. If you're in one of the Facebook groups and you have a question about one of the stories and I don't answer, I'm sure one of the beta readers will jump in there. I'm going to have to come up with a better name for them than just beta readers. My beta readers. There must be something. We'll find. We'll have to give them a cool, fan group name at some point. I'm sure they'll come up with one which shouldn't be too naughty to be able to say in public without making me blush or something like that. I'm sure Millie will probably call it When's the Next Sequel. Oh yes, and PI, I do have PI listed within my timeline. So for those of you who are Protective Instinct fans, let me just give you an idea of date. You may be expecting to see that one reappear in around about the early September mark, if I can keep on my timeline. So that should cover the Protective Instinct fans. I was actually on my Instagram the other day and someone started talking to me and their name was Liza Fairchild. And it sort of stopped and went, that's the name of my character out of Protective Instinct. I don't know if she's a huge fan and she's given herself that name on Instagram because she loves the book, or that's her actual real legitimate name. And yeah, I think that's pretty cool. If she has named herself after my character, that's awesome. Tiny bit scary if you know about the character, but awesome. I'll just have to stay on her good side. Okay, so that's all I've got for you tonight. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for reading my work and supporting me as a writer. And I will try to keep my updates a bit more regular than what they have been of late. But otherwise, again, reach out on social media and ask me any questions, and I'll try and answer them as best I can. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope you're all well and taking care of yourself. Bye.